With over 300 million users, Duolingo is definitely one of the most popular language learning apps in the world. But are you using it right? Excuse the accusatory tone of the title of this video, but there's a good chance you're not getting the most out of Duolingo. So today I'm going to give you some of my best tips for getting the most and learning the most from the Duolingo app. I've been using Duolingo since 2014 and I've completed 2 trees, the German tree and the Spanish tree. So I can tell you that I have some experience with this app. Hola amigos, Jim here from Spanish & Go, your resource for learning real-world travel Spanish. And normally on this channel, we have all kinds of lessons for learning Spanish, tips for language acquisition, and travel inspiration, so you can travel to Spanish-speaking countries along with us. But right now, we're gonna dive into my best tips for learning with Duolingo. So Duolingo has implemented and removed a number of features throughout the years, but one thing that has remained consistent is the tree. Now, this is where you're gonna start when you're learning a language with Duolingo, and as you progress through the tree, you'll absolutely pick up new vocabulary, but sometimes you miss some connecting parts that you might otherwise get in a class. Now, that's where the tips function comes into play. Be sure to use the tips function when you're entering a new class, because this will give you a little bit more explanation about what you're about to get yourself into with that class. Oftentimes they'll cover some grammar and just a little bit more context about what the concept or the topic for that class is all about. One often overlooked function in Duolingo is the discussion tab. Now this really comes in handy if you think you got something right, but Duolingo marked it wrong. You can click this option and see a discussion about that question or that part of the class, and you can see the rationale about why Duolingo may have marked it wrong. And there's also a possibility that your answer should have been accepted. So definitely check that out to get a little bit more of an idea of why Duolingo may have marked you incorrect. Another feature I really enjoy using, and it's only available on the desktop app, is the community tab. Here you can post questions for discussion or just get a little bit more encouragement from people. Oftentimes you see threads on there where people are saying, oh, I'm frustrated, and people give tips for keeping you motivated. Or if you have a question about a certain topic, there's always tons of people willing to help you understand a topic a little bit better. And oftentimes people will post even more resources on other websites where you can look and get more information about something or more practice. Now let's talk about a few things that you can do that aren't necessarily functions of Duolingo, but you can take on yourself to make sure you're getting the most out of each lesson. You should always repeat the phrases you hear in Duolingo back out loud. I recommend reading each phrase out loud 3 times, and this is because Duolingo doesn't give you a lot of opportunity to speak. Even when they do ask you to speak, the speech recognition isn't all that great. Oftentimes I've been able to talk into the microphone to answer a question and be totally off, and it'll mark it as correct.
Nunca hacíais la tarea de español.
Este es el momento de la verdad. Ustedes nunca hacían el tarea de español. Ha! I got it right. That was way off.
¿Veíais a María a menudo?
Okay, it says, veíais a María a menudo. I'm going to say something completely different. ¿Vistes a Mariana a menudo? Ha! Spot on. Not really. So what you want to do is try to repeat back what you're hearing within a lesson as accurately as you possibly can. This is going to improve your accent a ton, and it's going to get you used to actually pronouncing the language that you're studying. And ultimately, it's going to help you become much more fluent in your target language the sooner you start implementing this tip.
¿Habrías utilizado el artículo sin mí?
Habrías utilizado el artículo sin mí.
¿Habrías utilizado el artículo sin mí?
Habrías utilizado el artículo sin mí. Habrías utilizado el artículo sin mí. My next piece of advice is to use the desktop version of Duolingo whenever possible. Now there's a few reasons for this. Number one, you won't get docked points or lose hearts if you answer something incorrectly. This can also help if you've already lost all your hearts on the app and you want to continue on with the desktop version without having to pay Duolingo to refill your hearts or to use Lingots to refill your hearts. I guess they're actually gems on the app for me and they're Lingots on the desktop version. I'm not sure exactly how that works. Duolingo often uses split testing, so you might have a version of the platform that other people don't. So let me know in the comments if they're Lingots on the app and the desktop for you or if they're different. I'm definitely interested to know. I'm saving up to buy a house for my owl. Let me know what you're using your Lingots for in the comments. But another reason for using the desktop version of the platform over the app is there's less matching games and more having you actually type in sentences. This is going to be more difficult, but you're going to learn a lot more and it's really going to push you to remember a lot more doing it this way. And it's so much more rewarding when you type something in and you get it correct rather than just matching up words. This next tip you definitely don't want to neglect. Now, once you get partway through the tree and you start feeling a little bit more confident with the language, maybe you're a third of the way through or halfway through, you should start diving into stories. Now, this is actually my favorite feature of Duolingo. You can get so much out of the stories, and although a lot of them are kind of cheesy, it's so rewarding to be able to listen to a short story and answer some questions and feel like you're actually getting somewhere with the language. Now here, I think it's especially important to listen and repeat back everything you hear in the stories. And that's because you're getting actual voice actors in each story. So you know that you're copying a native Spanish speaker or native of your target language. And you can use this as an opportunity to really improve your pronunciation and get you used to actually speaking your target language. Often I will click the audio button multiple times and repeat back what I'm hearing to try to match exactly the way the narrator is saying it in the story. And after you do it a few times, you get used to the rhythm and the intonation from the narrator in each story.
Su condición no ha cambiado, ni ha mejorado en los últimos días.
Su condición no ha cambiado, ni ha mejorado en los últimos días. Su condición no ha cambiado, ni ha mejorado en los últimos días.
Encontraron a Sonia y a Mateo. Ellos están bien. Sonia pronto tomará un avión de regreso.
Encontraron a Sonia y a Mateo. Ellos están bien. Sonia pronto tomará un avión de regreso.
And once you've built up some confidence by going through the Duolingo stories, you should start listening to the Duolingo podcasts, and even from there, listening to other podcasts. The nice thing about the Duolingo podcast for Spanish, and I guess they have French now available as well, is that the narrators in each podcast episode speak slowly, and the producers have created the podcast in such a way to be able to basically scale you up little by little with each new episode. This is really the bridge that's going to take you from being able to understand very short sentences in Spanish to more natural conversations. I really don't think there's one resource out there that's going to make you absolutely fluent. But Duolingo can play an important role in your journey to fluency. And hey, if you enjoy the Duolingo podcast and you understand most of that, I encourage you to check out our podcast, the Learn Spanish and Go podcast, available anywhere you listen to podcasts. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to check that out. A couple of more tips for getting the most out of Duolingo. I like to spend at least 15 minutes a day with the app. That way I'm investing enough to actually get something out of it, but not too little to where I just feel like I'm trying to keep up a streak or trying to make sure that I did at least one lesson that day. Another thing that helps is taking lessons at night. Studies show that you're more likely to remember things if you learn them towards the end of the day. One of the reasons why we don't talk about Duolingo a lot on our channel is because it's a resource that's really high on the fun side of things, but not necessarily the most effective. So I like to couple learning a new language with other resources. In fact, I don't know anyone who's become totally fluent in a new language only using Duolingo. So
Right now I'm learning German, so I'm using Pimsleur to practice my German, my listening skills, and my speaking skills along with Duolingo. So it's nice to supplement the fun resource of Duolingo with something a little bit more effective like Pimsleur.
I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more travel and Spanish tips. And remember, el camino es el destino. The journey is the destination. Nos vemos pronto.